rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone. This is American Perspective, and I am your host, Rick Thomas. I haven't done this in a while, but I see some nice, nice Whiskey Warrior names I haven't seen in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and just run through. Let's see, who all do I have? We'll start off on Facebook. I see Mark and Becky. That's my usual, typical Whiskey Warriors over there. Thank you all for joining. Let's see. Over on Rumble, we have Coco Dominky, Bam, 3 Chevy, Music Man. Haven't seen him in a while, and there's a reason. Sorry for your loss. My News. We have, let's see, who else? I saw Outlaw Dogs earlier. At least I think, yep, Outlaw Dogs is there. Did I miss anybody? I haven't seen Buddy. Buddy hasn't popped in. I'm sure he's listening, though. He generally tends to do that. I don't think I missed anybody over on the typical, usual rumblers that are over there. Let's see, how does 3 Chevy describe us? Non-deprogrammed, ultra-mega Neanderthal Christian nationalist deplorables. That's the group over there. Oh, I love all you guys. You guys are great. We were chatting in the Rumble chat a little earlier, and the comment came up that, sometimes when you get together on these things, and especially when you've been all together for, well over a year or more, I've been doing this. This is my 4th year streaming. And I know that I didn't really gain too big of a following until within the last couple of years. It all kind of started with Buddy going around and like raiding and dropping my link everywhere on Rumble. And that sort of started it. And then getting in with the Mark K show, which is kind of doesn't exist anymore. It sort of does, but it not really. I mean, I'm sure he's coming up with something. Anyway, and now, a lot of us have all been coming in and getting together, and, it's just, everybody, whether it's Rumble or Facebook. I mean, you guys don't understand how encouraging it is when you're doing something like this, rather than just speaking out into the middle of nowhere. When you're sitting there and first starting out, I'm telling you, you sit there and you watch that ticker and you see like 0 for watchers. And then when you check a little bit later to see if anybody's actually even watching the video, you see 0. It tends to get a little depressing, I'll admit. So, thank you all, every single one of you. You guys have all like band together throughout all the trials, the tribulations, the changes, things going on. And, so on and so forth. So I do appreciate all of that because, of course, without you, there would be no show. And that is so true. All right. First things first, I do have to apologize. I did promise that I would put out flag half-staff notifications, and I had one for yesterday, that was for today that I was going to tell you about yesterday in yesterday's show, and it just completely spaced my mind. But today is Flags at Half Staff here in the U.S. because of Police Memorial Day. So that is the entire week is celebrating police. It's Police Week or whatever, but today is the Police Memorial Day, and so flags were supposed to be at half staff. I barely remembered putting mine down this morning, so I apologize for that. I'm going to try and get better at that. That's going to be something that I need to focus on for that. So we do appreciate all of our law enforcement personnel, and especially feel just like we do with soldiers here on this program, we feel a little bit of pain in our hearts whenever an individual is lost, an individual person who's given their life for service to others. And so, yeah, that's I'm going to try and do that. I get alerts. I signed up for them, and I get alerts about it, and I just totally spaced yesterday. So I apologize for that. But anyway, all right. So let's get to tonight. Nobody this time. No guest for the Pledge of Allegiance. You get me. So, if you are of mind, please stand, remove your hat, put your hand over your heart, and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And, I do appreciate everybody who sent it in, but I need more. So if you haven't sent in, if you haven't sent in your Pledge of Allegiance, your audio of the Pledge of Allegiance, I would appreciate it, because I want to put it into the rotation. And so go ahead and do that by recording yourself saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and then take that audio file that you create and send it in to me at fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And that will take care of that. And Tommy just popped up in Facebook land. Apparently she was having internet issues. We all know about that. Everybody gets them. Okay. All right. And I do see Judge Wild over there in Rumble Land as well. Okay. So tonight is, of course, Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. Yeah, I can't get my voice deep enough. I need to get one of my guys like Steven Stiles to do another audio. It's not like he doesn't already do like shit ton of stuff for me anyway, but I love that guy. He's my best friend. I gotta tell you, he's my best friend. But anyway, for Whiskey Wednesday, of course, I am drinking Knob Creek, and it is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey for tonight. So, and that is what is in the almost famous yet not quite infamous True Grit Roots Network glass, rocks glass, whatever you want to call that. And so that's what's in the glass with the stones, the whiskey stones. Good stuff. All right. And because of that, and it is Wednesday, of course, we always do this on Wednesday, I need to tell you about TGRN, True Grit Roots Network, with our 24/7, 365 blues channel, TGRN Blues. And one of those shows on TGRN is hosted by Pat Mighty Quinn, a mighty Pat Quinn, and that is called Cruisin' on the Blues Highway. It's exclusively on TGRN. And here's what Pat says about his show. I have always been a fan of the blues and blues rock going back to the late 60s. That kind of gives you an idea of how old he is. Anyway, my two older sisters introduced me to several artists and bands like Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, and then in the 1970s, I discovered so much more. I learned a lot from the blues greats. I learned a lot from the blues greats back then. You'll hear a lot of guitar-driven artists on my show, which a number of listeners have told me how much they appreciate that. I feature these types of artists that they can't hear or find on other stations. The blues is here to stay. I guarantee that. Cruising on the Blues Highway airs Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central Time. That'd be 4 p.m. on the West Coast and 7 p.m. on the East Coast, just to anyway, with an encore presentation on Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Time. So twice a week you can get to Cruising on the Blues Highway with Pat Mighty Quinn, and he'll give you some blues, and it sounds like it's really guitar heavy, so it's almost rock in a way, almost rock. So anyway, sorry, I just read Three Chevy's comment about what I was saying. But anyway, do us a favor, go to tgrn.net and look us up there. You can play our music directly through your browser, or if you want, you can find us you can download one of our apps from that same spot. Also, what you can do is you can find us in the Live 365 catalog of digital radio stations, as well as on iHeartRadio, and through the Odyssey app, AUDACY. That's the Odyssey app as well. We're all over. And I can't wait to expand. I really want to expand. We're looking at that. My understanding from our CEO is that we are looking at a rock station as our next expansion. Ultimately, just so you guys understand, we're going to have many channels. So it'll be, rock, country, blues, all of that. But we started with the blues because that's where our CEO started in cutting his teeth in the radio industry. And hopefully, eventually, I'd like to see TGRN Talk take off. That would be kind of cool. But anyway, go to tgrn.net and take a look at all of our programming and our current on-air personalities, and enjoy. All right. Oh, I'm hearing some rock. I see some people who are saying rock is a good way to go. So that may happen. I've been told that he's we're almost there is what I keep hearing, but obviously I've been busy, so I haven't been able to really necessarily help him out in that kind of function. Although I did tell him, though, that what we should do is we should have at least one show that concentrates on one-hit wonders. That pretty much picks up everything in the late 70s, late 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Anyway. We'll get it. I promise. It's just, things are slow going because each of us has our own other things that we're dealing with as well. It's not like that's our only focus in life. So yeah. All right. Oh yeah, there we go. My news is saying I love Muddy Waters, also a fan of Buddy Guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Johnny Lang. I guarantee you, they are played. They are played on our station. That we give homage to the greats, as well as keeping the new stuff, trying to present new stuff to people too. So I promise it's being played there. Okay, so I understand it, as a lot of people understand it, is that Joe Biden has finally decided that he is going to he's going to debate Donald Trump. And I'm laughing only because of the fact that the left freaking took off with this on the socials. They were all like, oh yeah, Dark Brandon is here. Dark Brandon is here. And they had that 13 or 14 second video of him doing 52 words, I don't know, like 3 or 4 sentences. And if anybody would watch or would have watched that with any kind of a critical eye, there's something like 5 or 6 cuts in the damn thing. I'm just saying. Oh God. I pointed out this to a multitude of leftist lunatics, and they are all like, oh no, this is Dark Brandon. This is Dark Brandon, Dark Brandon. And I'm going, they had, for a 15-second video, basically, they had to do 6 different cuts, which basically means he didn't get it right, the takes right on the first time. He says 52 words in 3 or 4 sentences. You mean to tell me that he can't do that all at once? Well, apparently he can't. And if you'll notice with the cuts, they like whoever freaking did this. I hate when they do this. But the camera went from like a wider shot to a narrower shot to a wider shot to a narrower shot, and it kind of bounced back and forth. And you know, it's like just highlight the cuts already. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I even had one lunatic on X say, "Well, you don't understand anything about video." Yeah, I own a video production company. Hello, right here. I produce videos. Like, I don't understand how to cut a video. I don't understand the video industry. Yeah, double-barreled, family unfriendly middle fingers. Okay, for all of that. So anyway, he you know. But this has kind of been going back and forth. I haven't really mentioned it that much because it was sort of one of those things is like, maybe he's going to do that or whatever. But anyway, Biden, his group has put out debate rules now. And so he's decided that now that they're doing this, first of all, Joe Biden's campaign managers essentially decided that no, we don't trust the organization that normally does this. You know, we don't trust the Commission on Presidential Debates, even though they've been organizing these debates since 1988. But anyway, Jen O'Malley Dillon, a Biden campaign chairwoman, outlined in a letter to the commission why the president is refusing to go along with its proposed rules by basically saying that they're out of step with changes in the structure of our elections and the interests of voters. So here's what they didn't like. They didn't like the fact that the original debates were going to be held. There was supposed to be 3, where it was going to be September 16th, October 1st, and October 9th. And then a vice presidential debate that was going to be September 25th. She also didn't like the whole idea of doing it in front of a live audience. They want to make it more like the original Nixon debate, where it's a televised debate without a live audience. Okay. Then she wants the enforcement of debate rules. And as a part of that, okay, then this doesn't clarify this, but she wants at least at one of the locations or whatever, that what she wants is a microphone that can be shut off when the individual's time runs out. Okay. So that's one of the things. And then they are, obviously trying to, make sure that the rules are extremely followed. One of the problems that they had, of course, and they used this as an example, was the, lack of control by the candidates and lack of control by moderator Chris Wallace. And so that's what they're looking for. Okay. And they want them earlier. They don't want them that late. So the first one is apparently right now slated for, I believe it's June 27th, on this. And that's going to be, debated, or the selection of the televised network is going to be CNN. And that was another thing, that they didn't want any televised networks outside of CNN, ABC, CBS, and the Spanish network Telemundo. So, yeah. Donald Trump, of course, went ahead and agreed to the CNN debate for sure. And then apparently he's also agreed, now that since this is coming out, he's also agreed to do the second debate on Fox News with Brett Baer and somebody else is part of it. But so here's the thing. First of all, if you recall, Joe Biden was saying multiple times that, no, I don't need to debate him. He's just going to be a, mad 6-year-old, and all he's going to do is bitch and moan and blah, 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 whatever it was that he said. I mean, hardly anybody can understand him anyway. True national pressure. But anyway, the point being is that they apparently have now decided to bring this debate into a very specific area. And so now Trump has basically been like, yep, not a problem. I can do this. And of course, the left has gone all over the place just because of the fact that they are extremely excited, thinking that Joe Biden is going to be able to wipe the floor with Trump because, according to them, Trump lost in 2020. So here's the thing. First of all, Trump didn't lose in 2020. When you have your opponent break down in, come on, man, and all these other things, and tell him to just shut up, you know that he's lost. And, by the way, just the mere fact that Joe Biden's campaign has agreed to this, this basically tells us that, yeah, the polls might actually be right, people. The polls and all of the stuff that we've been talking about on this program and other programs, talking about the black vote and the Hispanic vote and the all of the things that are going on, that's actually true. That they've now realized that this lawfare that they've attempted to try has essentially failed. And that they literally have no other choice. They can't just take Joe and shove him into the basement again and have him, say things like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black on the freaking Zoom call or any of that stuff. Because of the fact that now they're going to have to face Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump needs to make absolutely certain that he is not angry Trump that shows up to these debates. He needs to be controlled and very methodical Trump. He needs to hit Biden where it hurts because he's going to be in unfriendly territory. And just like Michael Cohen on the stand, he can't afford to blow a gasket. He really, really can't. Because of the fact that he needs to make sure that the focus stays on Biden and Biden's failed policies. He needs to focus on those. Speaking of Michael Cohen, I just want to point something out. Michael Cohen testified again. I think he testified it a little bit again today. But what was more entertaining and probably a hell of a lot more accurate and definitely not lying was the fact that there was a gentleman, and his name is escaping me right now, but his name will show up here in this video clip that I'm going to show you. But this guy was Michael Cohen's former attorney, and Michael Cohen had released him from attorney-client privilege, So he was able to testify in front of the House Judicial Committee, subcommittee, I guess is what it is. But anyway, he was able to testify there, and you really have to hear what he said. Now, this is about a 3.5-minute video, so it's going to be a little long, but it's very important for you to listen to everything that this guy is talking about, because I am telling you, this is extremely important to what's going on up in New York City. Take a listen.
Through further cross-examination, Cohen told me that he knew there was money missing from the Trump inauguration.
Yes. I see where you are now. Thank you.
Okay. And then on the next page, into that first paragraph, Cohen decided that while he didn't believe the allegation of the Stormy Daniels story, that he thought the story would be embarrassing for Trump and especially for Melania, so he decided he would take care of it himself.
Absolutely. And that is contrary to what this guy testified to in court in New York yesterday.
Well, and what's not being talked about is your next paragraph, like the reason and his motivation for that. So if you could just kind of walk through that for the committee.
Yeah, obviously, when we started to talk about the NDAs, and this is the very first meeting at the Regency Hotel, when, by the way, Rudy Giuliani was not involved in representing Donald Trump at that time. Cohen testified that it was a conspiracy between Giuliani and Costello as of this date. Totally false. In any event, he also said that he didn't discuss the Stormy Daniels matter with us, and he certainly did. I specifically asked him because he kept on going back saying, I can't believe they're trying to put me in jail for these NDAs. I said, Michael, tell me about the NDA. Tell me about Stormy Daniels. What did you do? He said, I got a call from a lawyer representing Stormy Daniels who represented that she was going to testify that Donald Trump had sex with Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but I knew that such an allegation would be terribly embarrassing. He said it would be embarrassing. He focused on Melania Trump. He said, I didn't want to embarrass Melania Trump. He said, that's why I decided to take care of this on my own. Right. I went back to that several times. You did this on your own? On my own. Did Donald Trump have anything to do with it? No. Did you get the money from Donald Trump? No. From any of his organizations? No. From anybody connected to Donald Trump? No. Where did you get the money? I took out a HELOC loan against my property. I said, why would you do that? He said, I didn't want anybody to know where I got this money. I didn't want Melania to know. I didn't want my own wife to know because she's in charge, he said, of the Cohen family finances. He said, if she saw money coming out of my account, she'd ask me 100 questions, and I didn't want to answer any of them. It was clear after talking to him for several days after that, whenever we talked on the phone or in my office, that he kept on bringing up the subject that he felt he was betrayed by not being brought down to Washington, D.C. This guy thought, he said to me, that he should have been Attorney General of the United States, or at least the chief assistant to the president. Ludicrous, but that's what he thought. And he was very angry about that. He wanted to do something to put himself back into the inner circle of Donald Trump. That's why he took care of this on his own. It had to be a motivation. Michael Cohen is always working for things that benefit himself. And that's what he was doing here. That's completely different to what he said that he told the grand jury. That's completely different to what he's testifying to in New York. Nobody has heard this side of the equation.
Right.
Okay, so essentially, and I'm sorry, I noticed the closed captioning kind of dropped off during part of it, but here's the thing, is that he told his attorney that he took care of the Stormy Daniels NDA payment on his own because he was attempting to get back in the good graces of Donald Trump because he wanted to get basically a quid pro quo. He wanted to go back and get something. He thought he was going to be Attorney General of the United States. Oh my God, thank the Lord that didn't happen. It's bad enough that, Meritless Garland was up for a Supreme Court appointment, and we dodged the bullet there. I'm telling you, the one thing that McConnell did right was make sure that didn't happen. But I digress. the whole point here is that this guy, Michael Cohen, is a convicted perjurer and has even been accused by a judge to be a serial perjurer. And here is his lawyer, who's been released from attorney-client privilege by Michael Cohen to basically say whatever he was going to say. Now, if I were the defense team and you saw this video, I would get a hold of this guy, bring him up to New York, and he would be the very first individual who would step up on the stand as a defense witness. Now, granted, they were off today, I think, in court, now that I think about it, because, you know, Wednesdays are Trump's day off. But anyway, he basically would be a star rebuttal witness to Michael Cohen's testimony. And for those of you who aren't as in tune with the legal system, the defense actually has the capability of doing that. They can call specific rebuttal witnesses to refute testimony by the prosecution's witnesses, especially if it has something to do specifically with the case. So I hope and pray that this guy freaking gets called to New York City, because that would be very important. Even if it's okay, real quick, I got to do this. Music Man said, didn't Trump go to Barron's graduation? That's Friday. But the thing about it is that even if this guy doesn't testify tomorrow on Thursday, the one day that they have, even if he doesn't testify there, he should go to essentially go to the Monday or Tuesday or something. He's got to get in the defense's rotation for this. He has to. This is look, you have a convicted perjurer up against his own lawyer who's been released, and he's testifying in front of Congress. Everything that Michael Cohen is doing is a sham. Now, you have to ask yourself a question. Yes, Michael Cohen probably has some personal interest in making sure that Donald Trump kind of pays for whatever angst Michael Cohen has endured working for Donald Trump. But there's another reason. There is another reason why Michael Cohen might want Donald Trump to go down. And this is really kind of interesting. There is a monetary reason outside of Donald Trump and getting paid for this. So this is in Hot Air, and this is actually an updated article. And the article's title is Michael Cohen still committing perjury? Well, here's the thing. Michael Cohen has apparently been attempting to sell a reality TV show based on his exploits with Trump. The new show, which is a promo, he's got a promo for the show, and he's going to call it The Fixer. And it's basically kind of a mock, I guess, or patterned after, which I'm sort of surprised about this, but he sort of patterned it apparently after the Donald Trump successful television show, The Apprentice. So here's the tagline narrator thing. And if you go to the Hot Air article, they do have the actual video. I'm not going to play it for you though, because frankly, I don't want to watch this thing. But apparently here's some of the narration. Michael Cohen will fix your problems using skills he learned working for a, quote, notoriously bad man, according to the promo sizzle for The Fixer, which is a reality TV show concept that he's been shopping to studios. So apparently Cohen walks around the streets of Manhattan in a moody ripoff of his old boss's mega hit, The Apprentice. Clad in dark suits, the disgraced lawyer zips along Park Avenue on the Upper East Side during much of the narration, which is spliced stock footage of cable news reports on his scandals. Now, of course, he calls out, I was personal lawyer for a very bad man. Like, really? He needs Trump to go down in order for this to happen. So give me a break. He's a serial perjurer. All right. He's now pitching a television show that centers around him and supposedly his exploits with his former boss, which no one is supposed to pick up on the hint that the former boss is the former president of the United States. So he has a 100% complete vested interest in lying on the stand to make sure that his show, The Fixer, gets taken and picked up by the studios. As if this couldn't get any worse for it. God, what a mess. Turley picked up on this. Jonathan Turley picked up and argues that Judge Mershon actually has a duty to intervene and put an end to this whole thing. Which, by the way, still, they haven't bothered to, Alvin Bragg hasn't bothered to define what the crime actually is that Donald Trump is accused of, because again, Donald Trump made payments to Michael Cohen, for legal fees. That's what they're entered. That's what they agreed to. That's what they did. What a bunch of shit. Oh my God. It's like this, all of his other trial stuff got, pushed to the side because of malfeasance from the prosecution side and all of this other stuff. And now here we are with this one that maybe, and the off chance that it could potentially get Trump and put him away. And the prosecution has done nothing but put witnesses on the stand that have essentially shot it all to hell just in the first part. I mean, the defense probably doesn't really have a whole hell of a lot, but I guarantee you, if they were to grab that Michael Cohen's former attorney and put him on the stand, or even just better yet, just enter into evidence that video. You don't even have to have him show up, and just enter into evidence that video of him testifying in front of the Judiciary Committee in front of Congress. That's it. There you go. You could just shut everything down. Shut everything down right then and there. I mean, it's just priceless. Oh my God. This has turned into so much of a clown show. And yes, I am celebrating a little bit, because I kind of said a long time ago that this was going to be, a very lengthy process, but that it was probably all going to come out okay. I just didn't realize how spectacular the train wreck was going to actually happen. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. All right. Let me take a break here before I move into my next set. Let me tell you a little bit about these wonderful shirts that I'm wearing. These things are freaking awesome. I'm telling you, I love I love the styles. They patriotic. They're fantastic. They are just amazing. You want to show your patriotic spirit. This is the great place to go. Go to theflagshirt.com go to theflagshirt.com. And I'm going to tell you, they have everything for men, women. They've got things for kids. They've got accessories. They've got all kinds of stuff out there that is all American patriot level stuff. We're talking flag representations. We're talking representations of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, all kinds of stuff. Just fantastic. I personally love the cotton polos because I'm not really much of a performance polo kind of guy. I don't really do a lot of performance. In case you haven't noticed, I'm round. Round is a shape. So I am technically in shape. But these shirts are always true to size. They are true to fit. They are just absolutely fabulous. You should need to go over to theflagshirt.com. And that is theflagshirt.com. And hey, they are kicking off their Memorial Day sale. If you spend $75 on their site, you'll get $15 off if you use promo code MEM15, MEM15 at checkout. And you can get $15 off of your order if you spend $75. Or if you're not looking to spend that much money, let me tell you about something you can do to get $5 off. You can go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and get yourself a promo code that gives you $5 off your order. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. Get you a code. You take that code, you enter it in at checkout in the promo code box at theflagshirt.com, and you can get $5 off your order on the American Perspective Show. So do me a favor, head on over to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. So, I don't know why. Well, actually, I do. The leftist media has decided to just completely ignore Ukraine now that the money has been spent or allocated or finagled or whatever you want to call it. They essentially, yeah, you're welcome, Bam, Sister Susan. I love that. Round is a shape. That is right. Hey. Round is a shape, folks. Okay. I am in shape. Round is a shape. But anyway, so, we haven't heard anything about Ukraine. In fact, we haven't even really seen any kind of pictures coming out of Ukraine. I mean, we had all of the, conversations around, oh, Ukraine is going to lose to, Russia and all of these other things, et cetera, et cetera. We got to get these monies. We got to get these monies. We got to get these monies. Well, now that the monies have been put out, you don't really hear a lot about Ukraine. There could be a bit of a reason for that. This article that popped in Human Events. Ukrainian Corruption Center reports Northern Border Defense funds were diverted to fake companies, letting the Russians walk right across the border in new Kharkiv offensive. Folks, what the hell? I thought we gave them all kinds of money. Well, looks like that money is being diverted. So this is according to the head of the Mezhya Anti-Corruption Center, Martina Bolshevets. No, not Bolshevik, Bolshevets, Boslavets. So I probably mispronounced that very bad. But anyway, she wrote a report in Pravda that was asking for where are the fortifications. She reports that millions of dollars that were intended for the construction of fortifications in Ukraine were instead transferred to Kharkiv OVA to front companies of avatars. That's her quote. So she claims that the Ukrainian Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, also known as the Kharkiv OVA, paid out funds to fictitious companies during the construction and fortification of the Kharkiv region. The report comes as Russian forces have broken into the northern region of Ukraine, and the U.S. continues funding the war. Now, keep in mind, Russia, Pravda, okay, propagandist, so on and so forth. But that being said, okay, we have to understand that there is a potential corroborating story that's coming from our allies in the BBC. Now, the BBC has reported that the Ukrainian MP has been charged with embezzling over £220,000. Ukrainian authorities have charged a member of parliament with embezzling. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau, known as NABU, alleged that the Ukrainian MP purchased assets far exceeding his official income. While it did not identify the politician, the Interfax Ukrainian news agency and other Ukrainian media outlets named Andrei Klochko as the accused. Mr. Klochko is a member of President Zelensky's Servant of the People Party. In a statement, NABU said that between 2020 and 2021, the MP had acquired assets worth £507,000, while he and his wife combined declared income and savings at the time was just under £284,000. That left an unexplained difference of £223,000. Okay. Realistically, folks, the Ukrainian grift is happening because I'll be honest with you. I mean, right now, first of all, as an American, I'm trying to understand what our purposes are here outside of just attempting to close in the Russians. But there is no off-ramp right now. The Biden administration has not stated a clear and articulated purpose for us to be funding the Ukrainians. And what's even worse is we've been sending money over there without any type of oversight. We have no audit capabilities. We're just willy-nilly sending money over there, just saying, hey, here, we're going to give you money. And occasionally we have the television, star turned president, Zelensky, which, by the way, if anybody has ever seen his act where he's doing some seriously massive belly shaking routine, trust me, you don't want to see it. He's in some kind of a gold sequined outfit. It's just, yeah. But anyway, so you have this guy who is coming over here and begging Congress for all this money. And yet apparently he's not spending it on the munitions and the fortification of combat positions to get this taken care of. And we're not even asking for anything. And by the way, we send Secretary of State Blinken over there, and he gets to sit in a bar and sing a very bad rendition of Rocking in the Free World with some band over there. I mean, it's just it's just horrible. I don't even understand. Again, there's not even a clear articulated off-ramp. What the Biden administration should be doing is they should be going to Russia and to Zelensky and saying, look, guys, okay, look, we're not going to be giving the Donbass region back to Ukraine. That's pretty much been taken over. We're not going to give back the Crimea because that was taken over. That's already been covered and taken over. I mean, this was back the Obama years when these two areas got taken over. And there obviously is no major offensive going on right now to where neither one of you is going to actually win. Because let's face it there, Mr. Putin, your troops have been less than desired, because if you were such a massive power, you would have like rolled over the Ukrainians like nothing, but they have been able to hold you in certain areas, and you guys have been going back and forth. So now it's time to discuss the off-ramp. It's now time to discuss what the hell is going to make it to where the two of you guys can frickin' agree to what's going on. And it's not complete and utter destruction of Ukraine. It's not complete and utter retaking of areas that the Russians have already had. You guys have already figured that out. It's all there. You know, that's it. And, you know, that's what Biden should be doing. Instead, we're just willy-nilly sending millions and billions of dollars over to Ukraine just to hand it over. Okay? Just to hand it over. And be able to sit there and, you know, say, yeah, we're keeping the Russians out of Ukraine. We're helping Ukraine out here. Now, Jarhead 13 on Rumble's side does say, Putin is highly intelligent. Don't underestimate him. I'm not underestimating him. However, it's his forces. I mean, he himself can't seem to, you know, can't go out onto the field and fight the war all by himself. It's his forces that are not necessarily performing appropriately in terms of that. So yeah, he might try and out negotiate Biden. I don't know. Well, that would be too easy. In fact, there's reports that Putin actually didn't want Trump in. Putin didn't want him in. So, yeah. Yep. Trump's a Russian asset. Yep. Trump's doing the bidding of Putin when Putin really wanted somebody like Clinton or Biden in. Yeah. Because they're easily manipulated. Anyway. So yeah, the Ukrainian grift goes on. I'd like to see photos, not that I'm looking for any like gory, nasty photos, but it would be nice to get just some basic photos of the war over there. Where are the lines right now as they are today? What is it that our billions of dollars is going toward? That's what I'd like to see. And I'm not going to get it. I don't think anybody will. All right. So, there was another thing that came up that just annihilates, and I mean annihilates, the whole situation here in the U.S. and the whole situation in terms of the idea of Bidenomics. So, Argentina had one of the largest inflation rates. I think at one point it was almost at like 300% inflation. Let me just see here if that's the case. Yeah. So inflation was almost at 300%. And close to half of the population in Argentina was actually in poverty. Well, here you go. Let me just go ahead and bring this up. So this is in Town Hall. You remember this guy, Javier Milei, who's been purported to be the Trump of Argentina. He apparently, I love this guy. I actually do. He apparently campaigned like carrying chainsaws in illustration of like cutting back the government. Well, we now have some actual actionable, verifiable statistics on what he is doing as to whether or not it's actually working. So he took over the country. Inflation was close to 300%. 40% of the population was in poverty. And the Argentine electorate decided to go ahead and elect Milei. And he came in and he cut, like, one of his first actions was to like cut 50% of the government. Well, here we go. Inflation reportedly has dropped to 11%. Think about that. 300% to 11%. And he actually hasn't even been in office that long. Okay. Millet is actually saying that the inflation rate of 11% is actually probably going to fall further. Well, this is a monthly figure. Prices may rise, but they are also coming back under control after soaring as high as they did. So last week, Millet announced, and I might be mispronouncing, is it Millet? Anyway, announced that the country had recorded its first quarter budget surplus since 2008. Now, granted, it was only 0.2% of GDP, but that is still an incredible turnabout in such a short period of time. So the country, according to the report, has run deficits of for 113 of the last 123 years. Then earlier this week, it says the central bank, which Millet has not gotten around yet to abolishing as he had originally pledged, cut interest rates for the third time in 3 weeks. Now they're still at, these are some high interest rates, folks. If you think it's bad here, they are still at an eye-watering 50%. But that will start to feed through into the economy very soon. Investors have already started to notice. According to Bloomberg data, the blue chip swap market, the peso, okay, so that's what they have, is the Argentine peso, was the best performing currency in the world in the first quarter of this year, and the bond markets are starting to rally as well. Millet has gotten 3 big calls right. For one, he's been ruthless. He's been cutting out whole government departments, and they've been closed overnight, regardless of what consequences are coming out. The Ministry of Culture was axed. The Anti-Discrimination Agency, gone. State-owned news service, yep, that's out of there too. Over the last month, he unveils further plans to fire over 70,000 state employees. He hasn't bothered to cut gradually. He doesn't even care about budgets. He doesn't want to ease people out into retirement or hiring freezes. Instead, he is just cut, and cut. That's all he's done. Now, he massively devalued the peso originally on day one, which took the financial hit up front. But then he tore up the rent control, price restriction, and state subsidies. He pared back on workers' rights, reducing maternity leave and severance compensation, and allowed companies to fire workers who went on strike. This is the Democrat Party's mantra the entire time, and he is demonstrating in a real-world situation what we as America can do with this kind of crap that the left has been pushing for all this time. Now, here's the other piece that the article has pointed out. That if Argentina can maximize tapping into the nation's vast oil and gas reserves using technologies that we use here in the United States, an economic renaissance could be upon Argentina. So here's the thing, folks. You want the lessons learned out of this? Here's the lessons learned. And I hope and pray that Donald Trump sees this and understands what's going on. And of course, Donald Trump and Millet have supposedly been talking to one another. So I'm hoping that they're passing stuff on here. But here's the thing. Okay. Cutting government spending, getting rid of all these entitlement programs that government was never supposed to have in the first place. They weren't supposed to be doing this. This is not what the Constitution of the United States set out to do. And yes, I'm talking about the U.S. right now. But if we cut out the stuff, if we use the 10th Amendment in a judicious and vicious, I'm going to say it, vicious force against all these government entities, we could cut out the spending. We could bring it back under control. We could bring the federal government back under control, and we would make America great again. The other thing is Trump has said on day one, if he gets back into office, drill, baby, drill. We need to start focusing. We need to start focusing on our internal resources. We've been holding off way too long. We've been depending on all these other oils. Or better yet, if you don't want to tap into our oil reserves, shit, make a big freaking inroads to Argentina. Argentina's ready to tap into its nation's vast oil and gas reserves. Start negotiating exclusive contracts between Argentina and America. Win-win in both places. We help out Argentina, we get them out of it, and we also help ourselves out and get rid of our, 3.9% inflation, which, by the way, I'm getting very, very frustrated over the idiots on the socials that are sitting there talking about, oh, yeah, it's only 3.9% inflation. No, folks. That's 3.9% year over year, meaning it's compounding. Okay? It's compounding. And that means that the entire time that Biden has been in office, if we go from a 1.4% up to even the 3.9 after we go through that whole freaking mountainous 9% that happened, we're still looking at a inflation rate of roughly between 17 and 20% overall on average. That's just how much prices have increased in the last 3 years. Keep in mind, 2% is already baked into the cake. They assume 2% baked into the cake. Telling you, Democrats have literally zero idea as to how to run anything. Anything at all. And yes, 3 Chevy is right. We're adding $1 trillion every 90 days to our debt. So yes. Yeah, this is just absolutely ridiculous. All right, shifting gears here. I've been on a tear the last week discussing all of these things with regards to the ineligible voters, in particular the illegal voters that have been able to vote in our past elections. The idea that we don't have a law, that it's more of just an honor system, but we don't have a law that would say, hey, when somebody registers to vote, they've got to require, or they've got to have a requirement to be able to demonstrate that they actually are a U.S. citizen. Now, keep in mind, this is for federal elections now. State elections can be somewhat tricky, but still, the point is that for the federal elections, you have to be a U.S. citizen. And I've been going over and over and over again about how the whole motor voter law back in 1993 that was passed has done nothing to help clean up these voter rolls. And I'll admit I've taken a few hits on this. I've had a few people go, no, that's not happening. Most of them are dumbass leftists. But I've proven to you over the course of the last week multiple times of how many states actually have the capability of registering illegal voters And you mean to tell me that an illegal voter who gets a ballot in the mail, that they might think, hey, you know what? I don't have to know the law. They probably don't. But I don't have to know the law. This came in the mail, so that must mean that I can vote here. And they go ahead and vote in the elections. Well, without any kind of voter verification, that happens. I've shown you article after article after article that has come out. Well, guess what? Here's a new one. One more. From the Epoch Times, Ohio orders purge of ineligible voters from state voter rolls after finding 137 non-citizens who are registered to vote. Ohio's Secretary of State said the legislature has explicitly tasked me with ensuring that only eligible citizens can register and vote. So here we go. One more state out of 50. How many times do we have to go through this? This should be a complete guarantee across the board with regards to this entire situation. So Ohio's Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, has ordered an expanded effort to purge the state's voter rolls of ineligible voters after an investigation by his office found 137 voter registrations assigned to individuals who aren't allowed to vote in U.S. elections. Mr. LaRose issued a directive on May 14th ordering Ohio's 88 county boards of elections to launch a confirmation and removal process of all ineligible individuals from the state's voter registration rolls. The Secretary of State also announced additional steps by his office to carry out an annual review of the statewide voter registration database to identify individuals who don't appear to be U.S. citizens. As part of that enhanced voter roll verification process, Ohio has called on the Biden administration to provide access to several sources of citizenship data, including U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services SAVE database, as well as information from the Department of Homeland Security, the Social Security Administration, and federal district court records. Now, here's the thing. They stopped looking after they found 137. They basically said, you know what? We're done. We've found these. They exist. However many more exist, we don't know, but we're going to definitely find out because everybody has got to get purged. Now, this is Ohio that's doing this. This is Ohio. So here's the thing, is that it came from the original, the purge decision comes after the Secretary of State's Public Integrity Division and Office of Data Analytics and Archives recently completed a review of records provided by the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Hello? When you ask people if they are a citizen and they just go on the honor system to hit that little check box, okay, rather than provide actual, factual certification that they are a citizen, which again, as I described several episodes ago, the Motor Voter Law, 1993 Motor Voter Law, does not require. They went ahead and found these based on the fact that the Bureau of Motor Vehicles just basically didn't even ask, I guess. So under Ohio law, for a person to be removed from the voter rolls, they must confirm their lack of citizenship to the BMV twice. That's the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, by the way. The individual must also have either registered to vote, updated a registration, or voted in Ohio in between the two instances of submitting to the BMV the required documentation. Telling you people, it happens more often than what the left will have you believe. Seriously, these people go in to go get their freaking driver's licenses. They're presented with a document that basically has a checkbox that may or may not be in a language that they actually understand, at least understand fully. And so what do? They go ahead and they check the checkbox. And so now they're all of a sudden registered to vote. Then 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, whatever it is, they get this ballot in the mail. And as I pointed out to you, Tucker Carlson talked about this as well, where Tucker said that there isn't even a criminal punishment for them doing this, as long as they believed in their heart of hearts that they were a U.S. citizen and they could vote, which, oh my gosh, receiving a freaking ballot in the mail might make someone who isn't of full intelligence and knowledge of the entire law might believe that they can go and and vote in an election. That's an illegal vote, folks. And these illegals overwhelmingly, this is why the Democrat Party is wanting these people here. They overwhelmingly vote Democrat. I guarantee you, if they voted for Republicans on an overwhelming basis, our borders would be secured. There'd be no freaking votes without voter ID. And we would have secure elections. Guaranteed. This is just getting freaking frustrating across the board when they sit here, and especially these leftists, and they get on the social medias, and they are just so god darn dumb, man. They are so stupid. They don't understand what's going on. They have no clue. They've got no grounding in reality. And it drives me nuts. So if you're one of those watching this program, man, stick around, get educated. You'll learn, and you'll realize how much the shit is really whacked out, man. Let me tell you. Boy, I've said shit like 3 times this week, or this episode. I'm on fire tonight, I guess. Anyway, well, there's Buddy. Hi, Buddy. Anyway. All right. So the New York Post posted this, which, by the way, again, keep in mind, Biden doing and agreeing to doing the debates is just one indication that they know that they are in some serious trouble. And here's another one. So here in the New York Post, Biden now has the ability, apparently, according to him, he now has the ability to enact an executive order to shut down the border. I mean, I've already told you what laws he can utilize that are currently on the books that allow him to do this under a normal situation. But Biden apparently is now planning to an executive order to shut down the border. But here's the kicker. The border crossings have to reach 4,000 per day. Wow, this sounds an awful lot like that freaking bullshit law that or border bill that they've been trying to get the the Republicans to actually agree to. Kind of feels like that. Morons. Anyway, so Biden is now going to do something about the border crossings because he's getting pounded in the polls over this bullshit. Oh, I swear these guys they're like a freaking piece of paper or whatever that you can see through. It's like what is it? Lace and linen, You can see through it. It's like, holy crap. This is so transparent. I can't even believe it. Now, this isn't the only thing that he's doing. So keep in mind, he has decided to debate Trump. He's now talking about doing something that he swore he couldn't do in an executive order, which is, shut down the border. Okay. Even though I know it's kind of bullcrap that he's doing it over 4,000 per day, whatever. But the point is that he swore up and down that he needed Congress in order to do something with the border, which we all know is bullshit. All of us know it's bullshit. But now there's something even more. Apparently, Joe Biden is getting nervous over the fact that Chinese electric vehicles might be coming into the U.S. and undercutting American manufacturing. And so now he's like, I'm for the manufacturers, American. Buy American manufacturers. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Well, now he's jacking up tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles and other critical materials. So this he announced on yesterday, that he is going to, and this, you just got to hear some of these. These are significant increases in tariffs targeting the import of electric vehicles and other green energy technology from China. Okay. So he wants us to go green. The only country that holds the market share of that technology is China, who he has been proven to be in bed with the CEFC. I got something on that here in just a second. But now he's decided, oh yeah, we're going to strengthen the tariffs that are coming in, because we want to make it harder for the cheaper Chinese green products to flood the U.S. market and displace American companies. That's what he said, and that's what the White House said in an official statement. What they don't seem to understand is they're cutting back, or they're forcing American manufacturers to cut back on gas vehicles. They announced this. They said, hey, we're going to go green. We want to make sure that we are all electric by 2030 or whatever the hell it is. And then now you start to see, which I actually had to prove to this jackass on X who said, oh, yeah, the electric vehicle market is going strong, and there's not a slowdown. It's a bunch of bull. I just did a quick Google search, took a screenshot of like 5 articles that all talked about how the EV market has slowed down and nobody's buying the damn things. But now apparently Joe Biden seems to think that, hey, if we put on tariffs on the Chinese market, people will all of a sudden want to buy American EVs all over again. That's their thought. But he's going beyond just EVs and those critical minerals. By the way, just remember, I already covered this about China having like 80% of the lock on the specific rare earth metals and minerals that are needed for batteries. Okay. I hate to pat myself on the back on this, but if you're listening to this program, you're ahead of the power curve on a lot of this stuff. But anyway, he also has announced tariffs on Chinese steel, computer chips, which he's been touting our ability to do computer chips, even though, as I told you before, China has the lock on the materials. They own 60% of the market share on the materials that are supposed to make the computer chips, the silicone chips, EV batteries, and other solar components. Oh, hell, what do you think this is going to do, folks, to that whole market, the whole green energy market, with all of these tariffs and the cheap Chinese-made materials that we've been using, that America has actually been using for a lot of these products? What do you think is going to happen to that market? So here's what they're planning on doing. They're taking Chinese EVs and they're putting from a 25% tariff up to a 100% tariff by the end of the year. They're going to double the existing tariffs on the semiconductor chips to 50% by 2025. They're going to more than triple levies against the Chinese EV batteries to 25% by next year, and double the tariffs on solar cells imported from China by 50% by the end of this year, according to the White House. Okay. There's some other products, including medical equipment like syringes and needles and certain container cranes, Folks, this guy can't get out of his own effing way to do anything good for America. What he is looking to try and do is like, he's trying to garner more votes. This is going to do nothing but hurt the American consumer even more. Because you think China is going to sit back and be like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and take it. Yeah, they're not going to. I guarantee you that. They're not going to do that. This guy is a complete freaking moron. And if he's actually the guy that's running the show, it's just, but it's not just America that he's shooting himself in the foot, by the way. This from the Washington Free Beacon, which this makes a whole hell of a lot of sense as to why this is going to go. All right. Joe Biden says China's EV dominance is a problem. Well, no shit. It was a problem a long time ago. But anyway, apparently his son Hunter helped Beijing gain a foothold in the industry, according to this article. So Hunter Biden, of course, as I've already pointed out, was a founding board member of the Beijing-based BHR Partners and served on the company's board when the firm brokered a Chinese state-owned firm purchase of the Congolese cobalt mine in 2016. Remember all that heavy metal materials and stuff? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. China's acquisition of the mine, which had been owned by an American company, by the way, gave Beijing a crucial supply of raw materials to use to make batteries for electric cars. That same year, BHR Partners bought and sold a stake in Chinese electric vehicle battery maker CATL, C-A-T-L. And that's according to the New York Times. Previously unreported emails from the Hunter Biden's laptop. Hello, the Hunter Biden laptop, opening up the door to everything that we are learning about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. This shows that BHR Partners tried to broker a deal in 2015 between the American subsidiary of the Chinese company Zhongwang and the American aluminum maker Aleris. Zhongwang said the $2.3 billion deal would strengthen Zhongwang's leadership in the aluminum extrusion industry. Trump and the Biden Justice Departments have since indicted Zhongwang and its owner for a scheme to evade tariffs levied against Chinese aluminum makers. Oh my God. These Chinese. Oh, yeah. Bidens have been in bed with the freaking Chinese for a long time. And now, of course, just like, everything else that Biden does, he's actually turning on his Chinese handlers, apparently, because, again, Hunter Biden's work with BHR, according to the piece here, could prove awkward for his father, who said that he is determined to ensure America, not China, leads the world in the electric vehicle, aluminum, steel, and semiconductors industries. To reach that goal, Biden has imposed those tariffs, and I already told you how much. Yeah. So, of course, the Republican National Committee has called those tariffs a last-minute election year ploy to gaslight voters into thinking that he is tough on China, which is bullshit. We know he's not tough on China. China owns Joe Biden. China owns him. He owns him completely. Oh. Especially his son Hunter being a board member and major investor in BHR Partners. Yeah. So, anyway, whatever. I'm at the point now where, this is all stuff that honestly that Trump needs to bring out during the debates. And no, that wasn't quite my idea. Who was it? 3 Chevy points that out and says, I'm sure Trump will bring that up in the debates. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. All right, one last item. I normally don't get, too deep in the whole George Soros things because the left seems to think that George Soros is like the right wing's boogeyman. We all know that George Soros is not a right wing person. He is a left wing person, and he spends billions, that's with a B, billions of dollars to usurp America. Even though, according to some people on the left that I've run across on the cesspool known as Twitter, as that's been going on, they keep saying, "Oh no, George Soros, he's an American. He's a good guy." Yeah, he's not a good guy. He's not even close. But this article in Fox Business came out, and I just got to cover it just in the last final few minutes that we have here. By the way, I don't have a pet of the week because nobody bothered to submit one. So if you guys want a pet of the week, I need to get you guys to get the pets of the week in so that I can have that segment. That is a fan favorite segment, and I'd like to keep my fans happy. So please submit them. Going to send me a photo of the pet and the name, breed, and some type of little story to go along with it. Tell us about it and submit it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. But anyway, back to liberal billionaire George Soros has spent $80 million to silence Americans, according to Media Research Center. Dan Schneider says that the leftists are trying their best to shut down the voices of half of America. Now, keep in mind, George Soros has a bunch of fingers in different pies. This particular one is a media group. It's called Free Press. Now, Free Press is not to be confused with Barry Weiss's The Free Press, okay? But Free Press is billed by themselves as an organization that closely watches as the decisions shaping the media landscape are made and sounds the alarms when people's rights to connect and communicate are in danger. However, according to a new report put out by MRC, they found that Soros has given over $80 million to affiliate groups calling for censorship ahead of the November elections. Let's see. MRC Free Speech America Vice President Dan Schneider, that's who he is. He says one of the wealthiest men in the world is using his vast wealth and power to silence regular Americans ahead of the 2024 election. At a time when defending free speech is key, leftists are trying their best to shut down the voices of half of America, especially those who disagree with the radical agenda promoted by Biden, Soros, and most big tech executives. MRC Associate Editor Joseph Vasquez reported that the Soros-funded media group is, quote, at the helm of a new push to restrict free speech online, pointing to a recent press release by them where they are boasting about a letter that they sent urging executives at Discord, Google, Instagram, Meta, Pinterest, Reddit, Rumble, Snap, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube to keep online platforms safe and healthy in 2024 through 6 specific interventions. And the letter was apparently signed by 200 civil society organizations, researchers, and journalists. Yeah. So they are asking tech companies to reinstate election integrity policies, swiftly enforce rules against election lies and hate in political advertising, requiring the disclosure of AI-generated political content, placing greater friction to reduce the visibility and easy distribution of election-related content that has been flagged and is awaiting for review, hold influencer, public figure, and political candidate accounts to the same moderation and enforcement standards as everyone else, and to improve transparency and enable civil society oversight of enforcement practices by regularly sharing virality and enforcement reports. That's what they're looking to do. So in other words, that entire paragraph and all of that basically says to stop conservatives from calling out Democrat bullshit. That's essentially what they're saying. That's what they're talking about. Folks, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It's going to get way worse before it gets better. And the closer we get to 2024, the harder it's going to be. Hopefully, Rumble will not allow that crap to happen, and I will stay broadcasting. In fact, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for election night. I know I'm not exactly the most prominent pundit out there, but just something to think about. I'm toying with the idea of doing a long broadcast show on election night because I happen to be on the West Coast, so it's a lot easier for me to finish out the election day than some of my East Coast folks. It would be awesome if I could tie in some people like, maybe Wendy Bell and potentially Sean Parnell at the same time. That would be awesome. I haven't quite figured out how to approach them on that yet, but anyway. All right. So that being said, that comes and brings us to the end of the program. Do me a favor. If you appreciate what I'm doing and you like what you see, head on over to rumble.com. Make sure you sign up for an account and follow the American Perspective channel. That would be fantastic. I do appreciate that. Also, if you are already signed in on Rumble, and actually, that's not a bad idea, Bam. I might look into that. Bam says, can you live stream the debate? I might think about that. I'll have to figure that out. I'll let you know on that one. If you are already on Rumble, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and maybe put a comment or two down just because of the fact that's how Rumble kind of bumps up videos like myself. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time for our 1 hour show. Not the big one like we do here, but our 1 hour program. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.